We do 431 and then 272 or 272 then 431? Oh, okay. So 431 then. Let us 439. Oh, far from home. Oh, far from home. I don't know this one. I can tell you I don't know 439. Thank you, sister. Stand. The watchman's fair, the long dark night is almost gone. The morning soon will break. Then we no more, but speed thy flight with hope's bright star, guided in ray, till thou shalt reach the realms of light in everlasting day. I ask the one on the field, is the only fire, inspiring song with courage for the sword of give. The battle is not long. Then we no more, but will endure the conflict till thy work is done. For this we know the prize is when victory is won. I ask again, mercy and son, sing with one voice to make reply. Time's wasting sands on early run, eternity. High. Then weep no more with warning tones, portentous signs are thickening round. The whole creation waiting groans to hear the trumpet sound. Not far from home, blessed thought, the traveler's lowly heart to cheer, which of the healing balm has brought and dried the mourner's tear. Then we know more, since we shall meet where weary footsteps never or trials, but so joys complete, if in our Father's home. Amen. Give me the Bible. All right.
Give me the Bible.
Give me the Bible, star of gladness gleaming. Oh, I was on the high note. No storm can.
Um, Give me
The
the Bible.
Bible's holy message shining, thy light shall guide me in the narrow way. Precepts and promise shall vanish eternal day. In the Bible.
In the Bible, only as it shine.
Teach me the danger of these hands below. The lamp of safety on the shall brighten. Thy light alone, the path of peace can show. Give me the Bible, peace that shining. Thy light shall guide me in the narrow way. Precepts and promise, Lord, not combining, till night shall vanish in eternal day. Amen. Yeah. All right, so let us take for prayer. Let us kneel for prayer, I should say. Let us kneel for prayer. Sure thing, sir. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for a wonderful lunch. It was lovely. As we're about to delve into this new session, this new study, Lord, just let your holy presence come and fill this place. Let your word and your truth pass and take hold and root in our hearts and our mind. Let us get what we need to get and to be able to take it further to people who do not know what we know and to bring them into your fold. Thank you for everything you've done for us. Keep us, our mind focused on you as we go through this process. Amen.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Sabbath to you. And I'd like to welcome my two virgin brothers, Wong and Roper, who have kindly consented to come at my invitation. Oh, you want me to show it? All right. All right. How am I supposed to interpret that now, brethren? Tell me. I'm trying to figure it out to myself. Okay. You're not asking me to get rowdy, are you? Okay. All right. All right. All right. I'll try my best to be loud. All right. So let's have a word of prayer again before we begin. Heavenly Father, we invite your presence to be with us now, and we ask that the words of our mouth and the meditation. All right, so last time I was here, I did what's the word that they use when you an evaluation. It was not a formal evaluation. So what I did was to try and get some feedback. And from that feedback, I was told a couple of things. One of them is that the presentation was from Marvin and Sheldon. All right. I was told that the presentation was from Marvin and Sheldon. They never mentioned Matthew. I was told that I was being too hard on Angie. No, Angie never said that. I was told, excuse me? Okay. I'm just telling you the feedback I got. I'm just telling you the feedback I got. And I was told that I should also take it down a notch. All right. So this evening, I'm going to try my best to keep it as simple as possible, and that when we are finished, you would have gotten the gist of what the presentation is about. So the presentation is about validating 1844. So the presentation assumes a lot of things to include that you already know what 1844 is about. Yes, Elder. No, Sister Angie.
As I said earlier, that since you took such a long break, you probably will bring people back up to speed before you continue today.
All right.
You say that since it was such a long time.
We're going back over the present.
Oh, lovely, lovely.
All right.
So that answers the question for everybody
All
there.
right. So the topic is validating 1844. All right. All right. So that's what the outline kind of looks like. No, that was the old one. So let's see if we find the new here. Okay, so this is the new one. All right. So we're able to see that from where you're sitting, right? Yes. So when you're making notes, you do different things. So this is the third one.
Zoom land cannot see.
Oh, I'm not sharing. Ooh. Oh, could somebody assist? I do. So I need to open the Zoom here. Yeah, all right.
Thank you.
All right, Sister Bro. All right. So as I said, the presentation assumes that you know what is meant by 1844, right? Should? All right, everybody don't seem to be with us at all. You're with us? Okay, good. All right. So I'm going to read just the first part of this quote from chapter 23 of Great Controversy, which is a quote that most of us use in talking about 1844. The scripture which above all others that have been both the foundation and central pillar of the Advent faith was the declaration unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. So it is the 2,300 days that would have fallen under the foundation. This is what the Millerites preached. Yes? The pillar came, which was the sanctuary after 1844. Everybody good with that? Well, the answer them sound weak. I said it was based on the assumption that you already know what 1844 is. Okay, foundation and pillars. All right. So, yes. So the foundation is what the Millerites preached under the first and second angel's message. And the 2,300 days was one of the things that were taught. One of the stones that made the foundation. It is the foundation that identifies a Seventh-day Adventist. In other places, I've said that if you don't understand Daniel 8:14 as you can't call yourself a self-respecting Seventh-day Adventist. I hope nobody is offended by that statement. I said, I hope nobody is offended by that statement. All right. So Daniel 8:14 must not be read in isolation. It must be read in combination with Daniel 8:13, because Daniel 8:14 is an answer to a question asked in verse 13. So let's read. Then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto that certain saint which spake, how long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice and the transgression of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden underfoot? And the answer comes, and he said unto me, unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. Now, the interpretation of this text, depending on the one you subscribe to, determines what kinds of Adventists you are. So if you notice, I put in a little header there, the Orthodox, Fundamentalist, SDA position on the 2,300-day prophecy. All right? So let's see if we can do a little bit of explanation in setting the background. So in verse 15, Daniel is concerned about this prophecy. And he says here, and it came to pass, when I, even Daniel, had seen the vision and saw for the meaning, then behold, there stood before me as the appearance of a man. I heard a man's voice between the banks of Uli, which called and said, Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision. So he came near where I stood, and when he came, I was afraid and fell upon my face. But he said unto me, understand, O son of man, for the time of the end shall be the vision. Now as he was speaking with me, I was in a deep sleep on my face toward the ground, but he touched me and set me upright. And he said, behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of the indignation, for the time appointed the end shall be. And he goes on to explain what each symbol meant from the vision of Daniel 8. So if we had read the first part, you would have seen that there were some animals identified in the vision. So now he's giving the meaning for the animal. He said, the ram which thou sawest having two horns are the kings of Media and Persia. The rough goat is the king of Grecia, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. Now that being broken whereas or stood up from it, 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. And in the latter time of the kingdom, when the transgressions are come to full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. His power shall be mighty, but not by his own power, and he shall destroy wrong wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. Through his policy, also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart. By peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. So this is the part that Daniel was interested in, verse 26, where he says, and the vision of the evening and the morning which was told is true. Wherefore shut up the vision, for it shall be for many days. So here's Daniel's response. He says, he fainted and was sick. Afterward, I rose up and did the king's business. I was astonished at the vision, but none understood it. So what do we know here? Daniel did not understand the vision of the evening and the morning, which was told that was true. So in chapter 9, Daniel returned. The angel, Gabriel, returns to give understanding. So previous to that, Daniel was praying for his people. All right. The prayer of the first part of Daniel is a wonderful prayer. And that prayer explains why they are in captivity, because they are disobedient. And he says, and whilst I was speaking and praying and confessing my sin and the sin of my people, and presenting my supplication before the Lord my God, for the holy mountain of my God, yea, while I was speaking in prayer, even the man Gabriel, whom I had seen in the vision at the beginning, being caused to fly, swiftly touched me about the time of the evening oblation, and informed me and talked with me and said, oh, Daniel, I am now come forth to give thee skill and understanding. At the beginning of thy supplications, the commandment came forth And I am come to show thee for thou art greatly beloved. Therefore, understand the matter and consider the vision. So remember now, we are dealing with the 2,300 days. So the angel now gives him an explanation of the first portion of the 2,300 days. Now, you know, it is titled 70 weeks. For those of us who subscribe to the Orthodox position, we understand that that 2,300 days, we would have applied the day for a year principle, and it becomes 2,300 years, right? So Gabriel is now explaining, he says, 70 weeks are determined upon thy people, which are God's people, upon thy holy city, to finish transgression, to make an end of sins, to make reconciliation for iniquity, to bring in everlasting righteousness, and to seal up the vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. So this was a probationary period for God's people. Know therefore and understand, from the going forth of the commandment to restore and build Jerusalem unto Messiah the Prince shall be 7 weeks, and 62 weeks, the street shall be built again, and the wall even in troublous time. When you read it that fast, if you don't understand it, a whole heap of information is given there. But when we get to the diagram below, we're going to make this a little clearer. And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself, and the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with the flood, and unto the end of war the desolations are determined. Verse 27 says, he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. That would have been the last week of the 7th week. In the midst of the week, he shall cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease. And for the overspreading of abominations, he shall make it desolate even until the consummation. And that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. So the application of the day for a year principle to the 70 weeks. So we have to convert the 70 weeks to days. How many weeks in a day? How many days in a week? So 7 times 70 is how much? So 7 times 70 weeks is, so 490 days. When you use day for a year principle is 490 years. You're a good Adventist. You really know this. All right. So here is a diagram which attempts to tell us how this 70 weeks is designated. So the curve at the top shows the 490 weeks, which begins with the decree, yes, to the death of season, which is the end of probation for God's people. So that's 70 weeks. Now, verse 25 says, understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and build Jerusalem. So this commandment was given by Artaxerxes. Going to remember that, and remember that the period in which it was given is autumn. That's going to come up later. All right. Now it says that in the last week, verse 27, he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. And in the midst of the week, he shall cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease. Yes. So in the middle of the last week, the last prophetic week, which is actually 3.5 years from when his ministry started, when he was anointed, that's the middle of the week, which is AD 31. All right. Are we seeing that at the bottom there? So we see BC, 457 BC, AD 27, AD 31, and AD 34. All right. Now, what I've done here is to kind of cut up the text. All right, and see if we make sense of it. All right, so the text is not there, but when you read what is there, it is equivalent to the period. So what we have here is from the going forth of the commandment, that's 457 BC, to Messiah the Prince. So Messiah the Prince is the last week, is 483 years. So that's your 69 weeks. Yes. Then you also have the streets being built again and the walls even in troublous times. That's 7 weeks, 49 years. And then it says, after 62 shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. And that is 62 weeks. So obviously, since from the giving of the commandment to when Messiah comes up on the scene in 69, we are given a 62-week period. That means there's an absence of 7 weeks. That 7 week is that the first part at the beginning where they were doing the rebuilding. All right. So let's see if this diagram gives a better explanation of all of what we have just said. Do you see the 7 weeks there at the bottom? All right. And then we have the 62 weeks, is 62 in the middle, and then a 1 week at the end. So 7 and 62 is 69, and 1 makes 70. You're not seeing it? Okay. Okay, that's fine. All right. So everybody's seeing it from where they are? Yes? You are. Wonderful. And at the completion of the 70 weeks, we have another period left that will take us to the end of the 2,300 days, right? So the 70 weeks from 2,300 is how many years? See it at the bottom there? 1,810 years. All right. That's what's left. That's 2,300-day prophecy in terms of your timeline. So if somebody shake you and wake you up in the middle of the night and say, after the 70 weeks, how much time was left in the 2,300 days? 1810. So at AD 34, when you add the 1810, mathematically you're going to get what? No, man. At the end of, if you were to add 1,810 years to AD 34, where is it going to take you? 1844. I thought everybody would have shouted it out. You're good Adventists. You're supposed to know this. He said, all right. I'm not troubling you. I'm not troubling you. I'm talking to the rest of the folks. Okay. So you're good Adventists. You're supposed to know this. All right. You must be tired of my story about what Fidel's warden did. Nobody remember that story? You remember that story? That is how Fidel figured out who were the Adventists still. Well, the warden, the real ones, the plantandos. So if you know this, you can safely say you have planted your foot in the truth or on the platform of truth. Understood? So what he did, he would call the Adventists and he would put a piece of paper in front of them with a pencil and say, explain this thing to me here. I don't understand it. And depending on what that Adventist did, he would know whether or not you knew the central pillar and foundation of your faith. Right, Michael? Peter? You follow? You sure? Okay. So in other words, given the presentation this morning, knowing that we're coming shortly to the image of the beast and the mark of the beast crisis, you gotta have your foot planted. Amen? Why you not answer me at all? Is a nigga right this setting here? All right, so there are 4 events which can be taken as answering the commandment to restore and build Jerusalem. But the most important one is number 3 on the list here, the decree of Artaxerxes to Ezra. All right. So the starting point is the going forward of the commandment. And then in Ezra 7, we have this letter giving permission for Ezra to command resources to complete the construction process. I'm gonna save you the time and the reading of this. All right. So here's another rendering of the 2,300-day prophecy. All right. Everybody comfortable with that? Yes. So if somebody wake you up, you can figure this out with ease. You know where the 69 weeks is. You know where the 62 weeks is? All right, let me go back up and show you the 62 weeks. All right. So the 62 weeks comes after the first 7 weeks. All right. The 69 week ends at the time of Christ's anointing. All right. Which would have been AD 27. All right. Everybody good so far? I know some of us looking sleepy, but I get it. All right. So here's a little quote from Daniel and the Revelation, page 111. In fulfilling God's command, 3 kings of Persia would need to make decrees regarding the rebuilding of Jerusalem. And the elders of the Jews built it, and they were prospered through the prophesying of Haggai the prophet and Zechariah the son of Edom. They built it and finished it according to the commandment of the God of Israel, and according to the commandment of Cyrus and Darius and Artaxerxes, king of Persia. The final decree that of Artaxerxes is recorded in Ezra 7 and went into effect on the autumn of AD 457 BC. And if you add that, you get 1844. The Messiah was to appear after 7 weeks and 62 weeks. All right, so we have a little maths here to do, just to be sure. Everybody good so far? All right, so here we have 490 minus 438 years. So the 438 would have been where? From the, if you can recall in your mind, the four, no, this is supposed to be 483. Sorry about that. 483. So where would that be on the timeline? Huh? Talk to me, please. Okay, you're not going to adjust now because something's fine. Where would that be on the timeline? 483 years. Hmm? Talk up. Talk up. So the 490 is at the end. So 483 is where? His ministry. So the beginning of the final week. So that's 7 years. You're saying it, but if you're not hearing you, then you're not here. If I'm not hearing it, I'm not hearing it. So you have to say it for me to hear. All right. So that's a 7-year period. All right. So you could also do that by minusing 7 years from AD 34, and you're going to get AD 27. Are you seeing the math? All right. So when was the midst of the week? So that's 7.5 years. 7 years divided by 2 give you 3.5 years. So AD 27 plus 3.5 years takes you to AD 31. You count the half year as well. Lot of maths. Yeah, lot of maths. All right, good. All right. Now, the crucifixion date is very important in regards to this prophecy. And you're going to find that when the pioneers were working this out, it was very important for them to get this date. But I just want us to take into account some important information in regards to this date, AD 31. So we have a number of texts here. John 19:14, it was a preparation of the Passover. Yes. John 19:31, because it was a preparation and that the body should not remain upon the cross on the Sabbath day. So preparation day come before Sabbath, right? But the Sabbath was a high day. All right. So bear in mind that this Sabbath is not only called the Sabbath, it was also called Unleavened Bread Day. For those of you who are familiar with the festivals, how many festivals were there? How many feasts were there? It's 7 or 8. 7 or 8. Go back and read it. It's 8. The first one is the Sabbath. Leviticus 23. And then it starts off with Passover, Unleavened bread. What's the next one? First fruits. Pentecost. Feast of Trumpets. Atonement Day and Feast of Tabernacles. All right. Those feasts, those first set of feasts were called vernal, and the ones in so Feast of Trumpets, Atonement, and Tabernacle, those were called autonomal feasts. All right, because of the seasons in which they were happening. Everybody clear? So the first 4 were spring feasts, and the next 3 were autonomal because of the time in which it occurred. So I wanted to highlight this because the Sabbath day was a high day, and it was a day after the crucifixion. John 19:42, because of the Jews' preparation there. Notice the who? Who was ruling at the time? Romans. So clearly, the Jews and the Romans were doing 2 different things. You see that? Oh, good. So just know the preparation of the Passover, the bodies were not to be on the cross on the Sabbath day. So clearly, this is a reference to the feast days. All right, I want to share with you let me come out. So this was the teaching that was accepted over time. And then, yes, I'm going to share. I think it just says share. Are you seeing anything? All right. I'm going to share some information with you now, which I don't know if you are familiar with, but I became familiar with in recent times. So yes, this prophecy, this doctrine has always had all kinds of issues. But let's see this one. So it says here the world was precariously balanced on a powder keg, and most people knew it. The United States was still struggling with the financial fallout of Black Thursday that had plunged the country into the Great Depression. Europe was jittery because no matter how accommodating British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain was, Adolf Hitler still wanted more and more. In this time of intensity, the Seventh-day Adventist Church was confronted by a theological crisis unlike any that ever before faced. The danger level was on par with Kellogg's led Alpha of the Apostasy nearly 40 years before, but this time the threat came from without, and it wasn't pantheism. The stakes, October 22, 1844, the spirit of prophecy on the seventh-day Sabbath. The enemy, the majority of the governments in the world. It was a proposed Sunday law, but it didn't bear the slightest resemblance to any Sunday law ever dreamt up by Seventh-day Adventists. It was a calendar change that would affect the Sabbath at a time when Seventh-day Adventists were already struggling with labor unions for the right to keep Saturday as their rest day. It promised disaster to the church. The movement for a change of calendar started in the 1920s, but really gained momentum in the 1930s. This was not some harebrained idea supported by a handful of visionaries. It was well organized, well financed, and had supporters highly placed in the Roman Catholic Church and in the League of Nations. All right, some more for you. Seventh-day Adventists suddenly found themselves uneasy bedfellows with Jews, Muslims, and Sunday-keeping Protestants who did not want a calendar change that would affect only the weekly cycle they had ever known, a continuous weekly cycle. Now, let's go down some more. Within the Seventh-day Adventist Church, rumblings of problems with calendation principles first appeared some years earlier. Now, remember this name. Elder J.H. Wirtz had learned from his Hebrew teachers, Jewish rabbis, that the Rabbinical Day of Atonement for 1844 had been observed on September 23 and not October 22. Oh, you want to say that, Sister Lee? You want no more years or so? No, you're nobody else, you know. Let me read it again. Within the Seventh-day Adventist Church, rumblings of problems with calendation principles first appeared some years earlier. Elder J.H. Wirtz had learned from his Hebrew teachers, Jewish rabbis, that the Rabbinical Day of Atonement for 1844 had been observed on September 23 and not October 22. Peter, wake up, man. Wirtz determined to investigate the issue, taking advantage of a contact within the United States Naval Observatory. He searched for the truth. Wirtz discovered inconsistencies in calendrical science principles that affected the date of the crucifixion. This was vital because a correct or incorrect understanding of the calendar affects the interpretation of various prophecies as well as the seventh-day Sabbath doctrine. He felt it was imperative that the church acknowledge and reconcile these discrepancies before adversaries could challenge us on them. He finally wrote his findings up in a manuscript, 283 pages in length. In 1932, he began appealing to various officials in the General Conference for an investigation of his findings. The General Conference did not see the necessity for official research and had no success in getting them to look into the topic for some time. Finally, on November 7, 1938, the General Conference appointed a committee of ministers, scholars, and respected theologians to address the issues raised by Wirtz. Membership on the research committee reads like a veritable who's who of Seventh-day Adventist later. Ella Leroy Froome, Dr. Len Harper Wood. Other members include Emil Andreessen. Anybody remember Emil Andreessen? That was the man who raised a riot when the book Questions on Doctrine was published. F.C. Gilbert, Professor M.E. Kern, Wheeling, and Teasdale. In January of 1939, Miss Grace Amadon, the granddaughter of Adventist pioneer John Byington, was invited to join, along with A. Wilkinson, probably B.G. Wilkinson. The research committee confirmed that October 22 was indeed the Day of Atonement for 1844, even though it conflicted with the rabbinical date of September 23. You want me to pause there? You're following? I notice here the word rabbinical is going to come up again. As such, the status of Ellen White as a prophet remains safe and secure. Then one unwelcome and completely unexpected element brought light was that the biblical calendar used to establish October 22 as a great antitypical day also appeared to affect when the Sabbath fell. This caused unprecedented confusion. For a time, the committee considered implementing the lunisolar calendar as church policy. All right, so we leave that there. But you notice that in the 1930s, this pastor, during his training, was being trained by Jews. And what did he learn? That the Seventh-day Adventists were using the wrong Day of Atonement for that particular year. Hence why you must be able to validate it. So let me ask you, Tanisha, if somebody came and challenged you and said the Jews say it is the 23rd of September, where you get October 22 from, what would you do? Good answer. That's a nice place to start. I mean, I can't fault you for that. But did you know there was a problem? Neither did I. I only became aware of that in the past couple of months. And by the way, this problem came up later on, but I won't be sharing when that. Yes, yes, brother. What? Early writing right long time ago, man. This is, no. Yes, man. The pioneers, yes, there's, no, man. But this is a different thing now. This is 1938. Yes, the committee went back and looked at it. But the point to be made is I didn't know this. No, but you would not have heard about this event. No, yeah, right. All right, and I would like to suggest to you that this also came back up again since 2000. But you will not hear about it. Well, from 90 in the 90s and into 2000, but you're not going to hear about it. All right, I think we did some of this already. We did some verification before and some maths. I don't think we have to go back over this. All right, so we're going to read now. So this first one is from Great Controversy. It says here that the 70 weeks are for 90 years, especially allotted to the Jews, ended as we have seen in AD 34. All right, let's go down further. Thus far, every specification of the prophecy is strikingly fulfilled, and the beginning of the 70 weeks is fixed beyond question at BC 457, and their expiration at AD 34. From this data, there is no difficulty in finding the termination of the 2,300 days. The 70 weeks for 90 days having been cut off from the 2,300, there was 1810 days remaining after the end of the 490 days, and the 1810 days were still to be fulfilled. From AD 34, 1810 years extend to 1844. Consequently, the 2,300 days of Daniel 8:14 terminate in 1844. That's Great Controversy, page 328, paragraph 2. It says, Miller and his associates at first believed that the 2,300 days would terminate in the spring of 1844, whereas the prophecy points to autumn of that year. Anybody remember me saying that the decree was given in 457 BC autumn? Anybody remember me saying that at the beginning? All right, so here Ellen White is pointing out here that it was important, as they would not have gotten the date wrong for spring 1844. Yes? Sound like you're not with me. Sound like I lose you. You have to stay awake, you know, man. As I'm going to start calling out people by their names, right? All right.
Wow.
All right. Now we're going to read from, and these notes I'm going to read, are from the Ellen White CD, but it is on the Pioneer side. All right. So we're going to look at a little history. And it says here, when the year 1843 arrived, so just stay with the highlighted areas, the Millerites were unanimous that the year 1843 was the year of the second advent. Some, however, expected Christ to come in the regular Gregorian calendar year, January 1 to December 31, 1843. Whereas Miller himself anticipated this event sometime between March 21, 1843 and March 21, 1844. Miller assumed that the Jewish mode of computation of time was based on a reckoning from the vernal equinox of 1843 to the vernal equinox of 1844. Later in the year 1843, when calculation of the Jewish year was further analyzed, it was discovered that there are two methods for determining the Jewish year. And you have to sit up now. One method was called a rabbinical reckoning. The other was a Kyrite reckoning and was derived from the Kyrite Jews. Here's important information that distinguishes them both. The one method, rabbinical, regulated the commencement of the year by astronomical calculations and commenced with the first day of the new moon nearest the vernal equinox when the sun is in Aries. Whole heap of information. Where I'm reading from? The bottom part of the paragraph there. All right. So what's the what? Oh, you want to know the source? The source is Crisis of 1843 to 44, chapter 3, page 78 to 100 by P.G. Damsteed, and it's from the E.G. White CD, Pioneer Writings. Well, this guy would not be a pioneer, but he's on the CD. is in a collection. All right. So what is the vernal equinox? The vernal equinox is somewhere about March 21, I believe. And the rabbinical Jews, they measure the beginning of their year, starting with the first new moon after the vernal equinox. All right. So their year is ahead of the Kyrie Jews. Everybody clear so far? You sure? All right. It's getting intense now, you know. The Kyrite, a small group who still adhered to the letter of the Mosaic law and commenced the year with the new moon nearest the barley harvest in Judea. You were asking me last time what was the barley harvest about. So the barley harvest is in relation to the feast of first fruits. So we have Passover, unleavened bread. The day after the Sabbath, the priest wave the sheaf from the barley harvest. Everybody clear? You sure? You have to remember this, you know. Eh? The wave sheaf. No, the wave sheaf is different from the offering. He waves this thing that they reap out of the valley of Kidron. There's a place where the priests used to plant the barley. So they would watch it and know when it matured. And they would go down there and cut it for that festival. Everybody good so far? Whereas the rabbinical Jews, and let me tell you, the history between the rabbinical Jews and the Kyrite Jews is a very long one. All right? And they had a long war over this, the Kyrites and the rabbins. Obviously, the bad people always been out. The rabbins won out. So that is why Pastor Rich now, when he was being taught, was told that the date he was wrong. It is September 23. Which is rabbinical day. Yes. You're just connected now. All right. But I'm saying this war goes back to about 400 AD, you know. Now, within Adventism, we like to say, oh, the Pope changed the date and so on and so forth. Not entirely correct. Under pressure, the rabbinical Jews were forced to rewrite their calendar to match up with the Roman calendar. Go read your history. Okay? And in so doing, they stopped calling Sabbath Sabbath and start calling it Saturday. That's another long history. I'm not going to go into it, but I'm just simply saying to you that the rabbinical Jews did some things that upset the Kyrites. So the Jews down in Alexandria, down in Egypt, they were the main proponents. The Kyrites who remained up in Palestine, they are the ones who were promoting this. Let's go back to Moses' law. All right? So they started the new year with the first new moon after the barley harvest, which is about 1 month, full month after the rabbinical set their dates. All right? So be careful when you jump up and say what the Jews are doing, okay? You have to know which one. Good? All right. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. The Kyrites stress Leviticus 23, 10 and 11, which required the Jews to bring a sheaf of the first fruits of their harvest to the priest as a wave offering on the 16th of the first month, a ceremony which quite obviously could only be observed when the barley harvest was ripe in Judea. On this basis, the Kyrite Jewish year 1844 commenced on April 29, 1843 and terminated April 17, 1844. Leviticus 23, 10 and 11. The Millerites also learned that most Jews follow the rabbinical reckoning because it was more practical to calculate the year by astronomical calculations related to the vernal equinox than by the ripening of the barley harvest in Judea. Get it? You get it? The rabbinical Jews brought themselves in line with the Romans because the Romans were using astronomy for their calculations. Everybody good so far? The earliest date for the crucifixion which drew much attention was the 3rd of April in the year AD 33, when many suppose the 70 weeks expired. Those adhering to this opinion thought that the calendar changed in 1752, wake up Michael, when the British dominions adopted the Gregorian calendar, had no effect on calculations based on the original date. Consequently, in contrast to others, they would accept the 14th of April as the date of Christ's death, as has been indicated by the Gregorian liturgical calendar of 1843. You see what's going on there? So if you're following the rabbins, you would have followed this date, which is what some of these guys were doing. Bliss, Sylvester Bliss, I don't know why I'm at that name. A leading advocate of the April 3rd date for the crucifixion favored the Feast of Pentecost. He stated that the crucifixion was April 3rd, AD 33. Just to show you what was going on. So there was a lot of confusion going on among these guys. Most Millerites, however, advocated the days for crucifixion, ascension, and Pentecost as found on the Gregorian calendar. Yes, your hand was up. Yes. No. Listen, you recognize that they were not straightened out until about a year later when Samuel Snow came with the correct information. So here's what I'm saying. I'm not questioning their sincerity. No, you're doing hindsight 2020 vision. No, but then this is what was in front of them. This is information they had and we're working with. All right. So I can appreciate what happened. It says here that the Millerites were unanimous that 1843 was the year of the second advent. Some however expected Christ to come within the regular Gregorian calendar year. Millerite himself anticipated this event sometime between March 21 and 1843 to March 21, 1844. Miller assumed that the Jewish mode of computation of time was based on the reckoning from the vernal equinox to the vernal equinox of 1843 to 44. Those adhering to the opinion that the calendar changed in 1752 when the British dominions adopted the Gregorian calendar had no effect on calculations based on the original date, making it 1810 years April 3rd, 1843. Leach said the 14th of April was a point of time anticipated with deepest solicitude by many. Bliss, a leading advocate of the 3rd of April date, favored the Feast of Pentecost. He stated that the crucifixion date was April 3rd, AD 33, and 70 weeks seemed to have terminated within 50 days after. The 2,200 days was extended to the coming of Christ. 1810 years from the 70 weeks seemed to terminate by the 23rd of May, 1843. The question I would ask would have been, how did they forget when the decree was given to not terminate it to a similar period in the year? Yeah, season to season. All right. All right. So we have the benefit today of information that Elder Works had. Right? It says here, Nisan 1 in AD 31 corresponded to the Julian date of April 12, and the conjunction being on April 10. The 14th of Nisan then fell on April 25, a Julian Wednesday. In the key at the bottom of the chart, the UNSNO confirms the full moon appeared on April 25. Whole heap of information there. So for example, make note, it says Julian date. Anybody, does that mean anything to anybody? What it mean? So there's a Julian calendar and a Gregorian calendar. And which other one? Yes. Yes. And you also have Babylonian and Egyptian too. All right? Just saying. Now, let's see if we can validate that this is in fact what they said. that the full moon appeared on the 25th. You can see that? See that little white circle there? You see that? Answer me, no man. This one here. All right, let me just, this one here. This represents full moon. All right. Now, the term used up here about conjugation, right? So it says the Nisan 1 corresponds to the Julian date of April 12, but the conjugation being on April 10. Conjunction. All right. So for conjunction, you have to count 2 days from 10. That's how you get 12. In other words, on the 12th is when the crescent moon is visible, Roxanne. So that's when the counting begins. And you have to count to full moon, which is 14 days after. All right? Okay. Good. Everybody good with that so far? Everybody still be sleepy? All right. Yeah, some people still, the food setting in, I get it. All right. Arriving at October 22, 1844. So remember, we have rabbinical reckoning, right? All right. So if we are using rabbinical reckoning, where are we going to end up? You're going to end up at September. Yeah, you're going to end up at September. All right. Kyrate reckoning, and we know that is the new moon. They start counting. The first of the month is the new moon after the barley harvest. That is going to take you to. Just say October 22, no man. Just say that. We're going to work through it, We're going to work through it. Don't worry. All right. All right, so let's read the conclusion that this guy have here. We'll just do the highlighted here. In this crisis period, various attempts were made to discover the precise date for Christ's return, and various dating systems were employed to determine both the limits of the year 1843 and the specific time within that year when the second advent was to occur. Further adjustments of time calculations and a study of the cleansing of the sanctuary in the light of the typological implications of the Old Testament Day of Atonement for Christ's high priestly ministry led to the most important time-setting movement, the 7-month movement, which predicted the second advent to occur on October 22, 1844, the 10th day of the 7th month of the Jewish high rate year. All right. So we're in 1844 now. It said, after some months, a time setting expounded by snow aroused the attention of many Millerites. Already in February 1844, on the basis that the 69th week terminated in the fall of AD 27, he reckoned that the second advent would take place in the autumn of 1844. In May 1844, Snow calculated the end of the 2,200 days in the autumn of 1844 because of his view that the crucifixion occurred in the middle of the 70th week in the spring of AD 31, and the 70th week terminated in the autumn of AD 31. It was August 1844 that Snow issued a periodical, the True Midnight Cry, for the specific purpose of proclaiming this message. So that's an article that you should try and get and read. It says here that Snow accepted Dr. Hale's view that the crucifixion occurred in the spring of AD 31 and stated that it was confirmed by the Kyrate reckoning. The covenant of Daniel 9:27 identified with the new covenant, the gospel, while its confirmation signified its establishment on a firm foundation during the 70th week when the covenant was confirmed, half a week by Christ and the other half by his apostles. The termination of the 70th week occurred in the autumn of AD 34 when Paul was converted and became the last apostolic witness to confirm the covenant. From the end of the 70th week, he arrived at autumn of 1844. Although these calculations indicated the season in which the second advent would take place, The exact date was determined by Snow through the typological argument which had been expounded by Miller more than a year before. Miller had shown that the Jewish feasts were types that were to be fulfilled by Christ at both his first and second advent. Typological types and antitypes. So the typological would have taken place over time, but Christ being the embodiment of all of these feasts, he fulfilled the first set. Passover. Yes, Passover lamb, partial lamb. He was the bread of heaven, and he is the first fruits of the day. Right? So it says here, Miller had shown that the Jewish feasts were types that were to be filled by Christ at both his first and second advent, according to Snow. So it's the vernal types. You see it there? Just gonna spare you reading that. Let me read it. According to Snow, the vernal types which had been fulfilled at the first advent were the Passover with its antitype in the death of Christ as a Passover lamb, the offering of the first fruits of the harvest on the morning after the Sabbath, which is antitype in the resurrection of Christ as the first fruits of the dead, and the Feast of Weeks, seen as the anniversary of the Lord's descent of Mount Sinai at the giving of the law with its antitype in the descent of the Holy Spirit at Pentecost. However, the autonomal autumnal, which were observed in the 7th month of the Jewish year, never had their fulfillment in the antitype. It was a type of the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur, which led Snow to the calculation of the exact date of Christ's return, stating that on the Day of Atonement, the 10th day of the 7th month, the high priest went to the most holy place of the tabernacle. All right. All right. So, remember I referred to the General Conference Committee in 1938? So I'm going to read a little bit from it here for you. So this is how part of the report reads. It was on April Nisan that began the main Jewish feast period of the year, a period that was always the same length, extending 173 days from the Passover sunset to and including the Day of Atonement, or Tishri 10. According to biblical specification, it was necessary that the Passover feast should occur at the time of the full moon of the barley harvest. Now I needed to be awake. What happened to you, Sheldon? Yeah, I know. Well, I'm going to go over it again. I just want to be sure that everybody is awake. But you have to be awake now. I just highlight this part of the report. It was on April Nisan that began the main Jewish feast period of the year. Nisan is the first month. A period that was always the same length, extending 173 days from the Passover sunset to and including the Day of Atonement of Tishri 10. According to biblical specification, it was necessary that the Passover feast should occur at the time of the full moon of barley harvest. I wish I had a blackboard. What is this saying? So, full moon, well, I know, full moon, according to the report, is consistent with Passover night. And from that night, from that evening, you can measure that back to Tishri 10 and you get 173 days. Everybody still lost? That's why you have to sit up now, you know. Peter? Yes? No, you have to go deep. You have to come with me. Yeah. Sorry, you were saying? April is not Nissa. Yeah. Yeah. Validating. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I got you. I got you. I got you. I'm with you. All right. All right. So I want us to pay attention to this because I think I'm going to draw up a calendar from that year and see if you can do some counting. Everybody okay? Everybody okay? Yes. Yeah. Which one? This one? Yeah, man. We're going down to it. We're going down more. Don't worry. A period that was always the same length. Hello? Isn't that what I just did? I think. Yeah. A period that was always the same length, extending 173 days from the Passover sunset to and including the Day of Atonement. $500, 173. Oh, 5 months and 23 days. All right. 273. All right, we're gonna all right, let's do a little look here. Let's do a little look see. So everybody have to sit up now. Everybody looking up? Let's hope this calendar. Oh no, this calendar is not showing up. Is this for real? No. Ah, lovely. All right. Okay, so this is what we're gonna need. All right. All right. So everybody looking here? Seeing it? Look a little mix up, not true. Yes, it shows you when it's a full moon, first quarter, second quarter, and so on. What is happening? Some calendars have. All right. So, your date on this calendar is October 22, right? You sure? 1844, man. They had to validate those dates to get 173 days all the way up to the 22nd of October. All right. So I would say, yes. Yeah, this is a Gregorian calendar. Yeah, man. Sorry, this is a Gregorian calendar. No. All right. All right. I don't want to give it away. I'm going to make you count backwards. I would have given it away and made it easy, but I want it. What? No, sir. Me not give it. What did I do? Me give it away? All right, but me not give it away again. I want you to count. I want you to count back 173 days. So somebody need to get out their calculator. Somebody need to get out their calculator. All right, so Sister Lee, no man, we're not scroll yet, man. What do you? No man, hold on, man. So we're using October 22 and we're going to count up the number of days in this month. We're going 173 backwards, right, sir? And we're going to see when we go back if we end up at the new moon, at the full moon. Should have been January. All right. No, we'll count on the Gregorian calendar now. All right. So here what we're going to do, Sister Lee. So you have your calculator. All right. So put 22 for because October is 22 days, including the 10th of Tishri, which is October 22. Everybody good so far? Everybody good so far? Good. So So wait, hold on. Let's hear this maths brains here. Make we go to this math. So which part you end up, maths brains? You end up in a me or you end up in a here, prep? Tell me where you end up in a me or a here, prep? Which part of me? All right, make it some people them catch you know. Yes. Yes. But the way you knock it out, I pop, you don't think everybody else go see it. All right, so you're the third of me. You, what I make up to you're the third of me. Is that what you say? All right, you come up here. You come up, make up. You, since you can't see, you come up here. You come up here. Sister Lee, you're holy count, you know. You're holy count. You have September, you have October, right? All right. So add 30 for September. Add 30 for September. Add 31 for August. Add 31 for July.
Hold on.
Yes.
We're going backwards. So 22 in this one, 30 in this one, 31 in this one, 31 in this one. I'll go back and then tell me when it is.
So we're at June now, Sister Lee. Where you reach? At 30 for June, no? What's your final number you have there so far? What's your total number? $144. 173 for 144 is how much, folks? 33? 29. So we need to count back 29 days in May, right? All right. So we end up at the 3rd. Is that it? We end up at the 3rd. All right. So let us check when is the full moon according to the calendar, children. It's the 2nd. So the evening of all right, let's see counting backwards. What much again? Counting backwards, how much we get? Okay, so no man. Just add up the days for me from the 2nd. We need a maths brain to add up this. Is that the 2nd? We end up at the 2nd. So it's the evening of the full moon.
Yeah.
All right, so they counted from the evening of the full moon, and that evening was the day of
the Passover. It's the Passover, which is the 14th day of the first month. So, 14 days.
So what you did, you put two calendars together just now. And by the way, it's not a rabbinical calendar. It's not Kyrie.
No,
It's
but
actually biblical.
but that they hold on biblical calendar. So they're not biblical.
Yeah, all right, fine. Just clarify. Everybody good so far? Anybody miss this? You were to be sitting up and alert. Eh? Yes, Andre? What she said?
The year, of course, they said it before. And of course, they said it before, but the year would have started on the 18th of the month.
Yes. So the new moon would have been April. What you call it? April Nisan.
Yes.
It would have been like April.
18.
So it would have been 18, 14 days before.
Right.
All right. So this would have been the first crescent moon, but the actual black moon would be the 16 and the conjugate, the conjugation would be called 2 days. Conjunction.
So the black moon at the 17th.
That's what they have there. Yeah, all right. Okay, so if it is 17, where was the third? Third, second? Full moon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That moon, conjunction, 19. This would start counting from the night. 2 days later. Everybody good so far? Conjunction. So after the black moon, 2 days later, that's when they start counting.
That moon is new moon, right? Black moon is new moon.
Black moon is new moon, but the Kairos don't count it like that. They count it when they see it.
Yeah, man. Just 2 days.
Which is 2 days later. What you say, sister? Yes. Because if you count from the 19th, you're gonna come to full moon over in this month. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, full moon day.
Exactly. It lines up with the month.
Our pioneers did this. Oh, hold on. You have a little fun. Yeah, what you don't understand. I'm willing to go with you. Tell me what you miss. Gregorian calendar. You still use that today? Ah. Okay, so we're utilizing the biblical calendar. No, we don't have no printer. But follow now. The Bible, when they came out of Egypt, he told them, this is your first month. And he told them how a month begins. Exodus 60. Yeah. All right. No, you'll find the stipulation of the new moon in the book of Samuel. All right, where David and Jonathan were having a conversation, and he says, "This is a new moon, so I want the time off." And we are told that Jonathan never ate anything on the second day. All right, and he went and met David on the third day. So that's how they, well, the Hebrew word for moon is month. Yeah, Hebrew word for moon is month. New moon is month. So that's how they reckoned their time. All right. All right. So you like that maths a while ago? Yes, man. You like all that maths a while ago? Peter, you're still confused? All right. So if you notice in the book of Leviticus 23, it tells you which month is which festival. So it tells you which month is which festival. So Atonement Day is the 10th month. And it tells you which day. All right. That's how they did their business. All right. There are some more notes. Go ahead. They eventually gave them names because Moses referred to the first month as Abib. All right. You're good. You're gonna go do the work. I don't have no problem. Don't stress out yourself. And it begins with the first new moon after the barley harvest. We don't have the luxury of the barley harvest, but we have the luxury of looking at these designations of when it's first quarter, new moon, and black moon, all right, and full moon. All right. So reading from Signs of the Time, now there's a dispute between the rabbinical and Karaite Jews as to the correct time of commencing the year. The Karaite Jews, on the contrary, still adhere to the letter of the Mosaic and commence with the new moon years, a barley harvest in Judea. All right. Notice also that in the Jewish year of 1844, began with the new moon of April, Yom Kippur, a little over 6 months later would land on October 22, not September 23. All right, so you were asking about when does a month begin? It's in 1 Samuel chapter 20, verse 5. And Jonathan said, verse 18, tomorrow is a new moon, and thou shalt be missed, because thy seat will be empty. When thou hast stayed 3 days, then thou shalt go down quickly and come to the place where thou didst hide thyself, when the business was in hand, and shall remain by the stone Ezel. So Jonathan arose from the table in fierce anger and did not eat no meat the 2nd day of the month, for he was grieved for David because his father had done him shame. So the father actually threw a javelin at Jonathan because he felt that Jonathan was conspiring with David. All right. And it says, verse 35, and it came to pass in the morning, Jonathan went out into the field at the time appointed with David and a little lad with him. So it would have been the 3rd day of the month now that Jonathan would have gone out back to meet with David. All right. So we know all the feasts. We didn't name them out. So we have the Sabbath, the Passover, unleavened bread, first fruits, Pentecost, trumpets, Atonement Day, and Tabernacles. All right. So we know all of those. Don't have to read them out. So it says here, the Karaite Jews, a small group who still adhere to the letter of the Mosaic law and commence here with the new moon year, a barley harvest in Judea, which is 1 moon later than the rabbinical year. Muslims and Karaites begin their months when the new crescent moon is first visible. So that will be after conjugation. Yes, after conjugation. I'm pronouncing it correct now. Conjunction. This may occur whether permitting 18 hours or more after the astronomical new moon. Sightings are attempted soon after sunset. If the nearest crescent is large enough and is far away from the setting sun at the right angle, then it will be seen and the new moon will be declared to have begun. All right. So the new moon is when the crescent moon is first visible. I think we've read some of those already. All right, so just a quick lesson here. Oh, this is going so fast. All right, so if you're interested, this is what we meant by new moon. So that's why they put it up looking dark on the chart. And then for those who follow, that's what your waxing crescent moon would look like. All right. And if you're going out there to look for it, the new moon would look more to the right of the moon. All right. It would look more to the right. Yes, when you're looking up at it. Yes. All right. And then you have first quarter. So first quarter is like about half of the moon looks lighted up, right? Then before you get to the full moon, you have a portion on the left of it that looks a little dark. They call it the waxing gibbous. So it's really bigger, but it's not a full moon. And then you have your full moon where everything is lighted up. Yes, and then it starts to do the opposite, where the dark portion comes to the right, and then the lighted portion is on your left. And by the time you get to the last waxing crescent, which is smaller, it's on your left, then it goes dark. When it goes dark, you're at your new moon. And this can be every 29 and a half or full 30 days. New moon. You're back at new moon. So between each of these is about 7 days. Yes. Yes. Right. And to observe the moon is not moon worship. Can I say that? Yeah, I'm just saying it's not moon worship. All right. Look like I'm finishing faster than I planned. Where's my notes? Huh? All right, so this look a little bit more complex where they put the sun in there. But if you look on the outer portion, you can see it. So if you start at 3 o'clock on this thing, you're not seeing it. Make it back bigger. You want it bigger than that? Oh, okay. All right. All right. So if you look to your right at about 3 o'clock, that's your black moon, new moon. So you see your waxing crescent, which is the one you would see first. And then up here, you should get to about your first quarter. Yes. And then as it moves around, they call that the waxing gibbous till you get to your full moon, which is a full, supposed to be about 14, 16 days from your black moon. And then we are then to a waning gibbous, then your third quarter, and then your waning crescent. All right, so the pioneers were well aware of this. Yeah. Yeah. All right, I'm supposed to have another. All right, I think this is what we attempted to look at last time. All right, so this would be October 22, 1844. All right. So even if you don't know how to count your 173 days, you get October 22, 1844, October calendar, and you can do a quick count, brother. Brother Rob. You can do a quick count. As long as you identify when is your new moon, right? And then you make your count, you must can find 10 days after. All right. You put the conjunction in. All right. So who wants to attempt this? Find your new moon, find your conjunction, and count your 10. One, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days up to 7 months. October 22, 18. Let's call it blocking. Yeah, so if you look at it, all things have shading. It's the only one that does that. This is on that side for this one. So this is full black, full crescent. 2 days after. Yeah, and then 2 days after. By the way, Angie, is this better than last time? Because I heard last time I was giving you a hard time. Roxy, are you okay this time? Much better than last time. You figured it out? No, you never shared it with me. I would have been glad to report that you did. All right, Brother George, you good? All right. Brother Roper, you good? And Brother Roper, you good? You have a question? Yes, ask your question. It's the first one?
Instead of 2.
All right, here's how I respond to you. If you are using something, if you're using something like this, are we listening? If you are using, for example, you're using this diagram, and let us say you're not sure, look for your full moon. Yes, and count back 14 days and see where it takes. Is that a reasonable answer?
So the question I'm having now, so what we consider a full moon now is when a full moon is lit. I'm just saying. And then back it on that now, the full moon is actually dark. No, okay. That's what I'm saying. The new moon, two different things. Okay, cool. I just wanted to clarify that. Moon is okay.
Yeah. Which is this second day of conjunction. But before I move on, let me ask the class a question. Do you think it is reasonable that when we're teaching this prophecy, this element should be emphasized? Yeah. I'm good with you. So you can imagine what happened in 1832 when Brother Ritz produced that document and he kept hammering them. You guys need to deal with this. Okay? And then they finally dealt with it. Okay? And can I tell you that a report was never issued to the church? A report was never issued to the church. All right, I'm going to leave it at that. What I'm going to suggest you do, Peter, is you go do your own research. I'm just sharing. Oh, great. Great. All right. So according to the calendar, the 10th day of the second month was Tuesday, October 22, 1844. The Bible Hebrew calendar versus the Gregorian calendar. The 10th day will be counted from the new moon or first day of the month. The new moon is the first visible sliver or crescent of the moon. And this was how the Millerites arrived at October 22 date as Atonement Day of 1844. Yes. Is the new moon of the earth? Is it? Yeah. Yeah, well, they're not going to be. There are obviously datelines and the time at which it takes to make it circuit. So we're not seeing it at the same time. Obviously not. Right. What is the same? Yeah, the same circuit. Yeah. All right. All right. So I didn't know I was gonna finish so quick. All right, but I think we have got the gist of the presentation that you must validate. So I have a couple of spirit of prophecy quotes for you to tickle your brains. Here, Peter, you have to pay attention. I have a couple of spirit of prophecy quotes. I have a couple of spirit of prophecy quotes and some quotes from some pioneers to tickle your brains. Pay attention. This is coming from Desire of Ages. No, Patriarchs and Prophets. I'm not going to read the whole quote. What is it, sir? What is it, sir? Oh, so read everything? Okay. It said, at the time of a new moon, a sacred festival was celebrated in Israel. I know that that's just a one sentence out of, you could say, taken out of context, but I just wanted to bear it in mind. At the time of the new moon, a sacred festival was celebrated in Israel. This is from Patriarchs and Prophets. It's to tickle your brain. Don't get. You're trying to read the whole thing, Peter? All right, you soon get more sense. Wait. Wait. Read that one, Peter. No. Read, no. Read this one. In company with his disciples.
Slowly. Huh? All right. In the company with his disciples, the Savior slowly made his way to the Garden of Gethsemane. The Passover moon, broad and full, shone from a cloudless sky. The city of pilgrims' tents was hushed into silence.
Just tickling. So this is a night when he was, okay. Here's another one. Here's another one. Great controversy, page 88. Oh, me must read it? Fine. Oh. Go ahead.
On the 14th day of the first.
No.
Okay. These types, hey, God have mercy. These types were fulfilled not only as to the event, but as to the time. On the 14th day of the first Jewish month, the very day and month on which for 15 long centuries the Passover lamb had been slain. Christ, having eaten the Passover with his disciples, instituted that feast which was to commemorate his own death as the Lamb of God, which taketh away the sin of the world. That same night he was taken by wicked hands to be crucified and slain. And as the antitype of the wave sheaf, our Lord was raised from the dead on the third day. The first fruits of them that slept. A sample of all the resurrected just, whose vile body shall be changed and fashioned like unto his glorious.
You were able to see from where you were, Ella? Maybe you need to come up and read it. What is puzzling is not what we have to. What? After
that I'm trying to ensure that
You have to take time with him. He's seeing this for the first time. You have to sit with him. So on the 14th day of the first Jewish month, the very day and month on which for 15 long centuries the Passover lamb had been slain. So for 15 centuries, the same day and the same month, the same thing took place. New to you? Okay. Okay, good. All right. So let's go and read. So at the time of the new moon, a sacred festival was celebrated. Passover moon, broad, full, shone from a cloudless sky. On the 14th day of the first Jewish month, the very day and month, on which for 15 long centuries the Passover lamb had been slain. Day. Not date. Day. All right. Let's hear some pioneers now. So this is JB's who again? Trying to remember. JB. Joseph Biggs. Scripture testimony was also clear that every year commenced with the new moon in the spring, just 14 days before the yearly Passover. So they all knew this. All right. On the first every 7 months, we learned from Leviticus 23:24 was to be the memorial of the blowing of trumpet. This is the first time to be fulfilled in this last feast, as was one of the great leading features in the pathway, a cry at midnight. That this was repeated every 7th month. Blow up the trumpet in the new moon and in the time appointed on our solemn feast. This was a statute for Israel. How often? Once every year preceding the gathering or harvest. Where should we find the antitype? At the sounding of the 7th angel. All right. Let's pass that one. Here's another one. I think this is white. No. Longbar. Jol. Ferguson, in his astronomy remarks, the Jews reckon their months by the moon and their years by the apparent revolution of the sun. They ate the Passover on the 14th day of the month of Nisan, which was the first month of the year, reckoning from the first appearance of the new moon, which was at that time of the year, might be on the evening of the day next after the change, if the sky was split. So that their 14th day of the month answers to our 15th day of the moon on which she is full. Consequently, the Passover was always kept on the day of full moon. Full moon. All right, so I have some final comments that I would like to make that I never read last time. I'm going to read them. The Kairos used the lunar Hebrew calendar, which the Millerites used to arrive at October 22, 1844 date. Therefore, it is dishonest and disingenuous for current Seventh-day Adventists to deny any allusion to the use of the lunar calendar. If they deny it, then the foundation of their 2,300-day doctrine is null and void. Somebody tell me that my comments are always harsh. Who is it? Was that harsh? Isaiah 66:23, and it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, said the Lord. Yet quite conveniently, they are silent on the question of the new moon. Why? I'm going to hazard an answer. I'm going to hazard an answer, and then I'm going to be quiet. You have to come up and see this one, you know, sir. You can't sit down there, so you have to come up and see this one. So this is an article written by a gentleman named Uriah Smith in 1859. And the name of this article is Bootless Reform. He says, there are some who think it is their duty to discard the names of the months as they stand at present in the calendar, and also to return to the Bible method of reckoning time. Such seem not to understand the difficulty of the task they have undertaken. For instance, we have received letters during the present month, March, dated 3rd month, 1859. But do the writers perceive that this is not the 3rd month of the year according to the Bible reckoning? Do they not understand that the Bible does not commence the year in the midst of winter, but somewhere near the vernal equinox? Again, let those who think It is their duty to return to the Bible reckoning of the months and years. Tell us just when the year commences, according to that mode of computation. And how are we to find any particular day of any particular month? We would also remind him that the Bible months consisted of only 30 days each, and that the Jews were obliged to intercalate every 3 years, a 13th month to make the lunar and solar years correspond. This also must be adopted. This is the clincher now, sir. And then I'm going to be quiet. I'm answering my own question as to why they want to deny the use of the moon in any reckoning, and it is at the basis of the 2000 prophecy. The present, are we listening? Our Gregorian calendar is far more accurate and convenient. We do not believe that there's any virtue in returning to the former. But if we are to return to it, let us be consistent and take it in all its particulars, and not imagine that we are going according to Bible reckoning by simply using scriptural language to designate the months of the Roman year. All right, Sister Lee. So they took their what I see here is that they took their position. They took their position.
Hello. What was the question that led to that?
Who is that?
Gina's one. I was asking what was the question that was asked that led you to that response.
Oh, no. I had a question earlier, and the question was, well, I had a comment which says that if you deny the use of the lunar calendar, you are denying the 2300-day doctrine. And I read Isaiah 66:23, and I asked the question, why is it that SDAs are silent on the question of the new moon? And in an attempt to answer that question, I would say they're silent. They use that text when they want to justify the Sabbath, but completely ignore the first part of the text. The first part of the text says from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, we're going to come to worship. Yeah? And I'm saying there's a convenient ignoring of that aspect of the text, but we only use that to justify the Sabbath. And I'm saying, if we're people of the Bible, we better do the Bible. That's number one. Number two, what Uriah Smith told me very clearly is that they took their position from them. He said, the present or Gregorian calendar is far more accurate and convenient. We do not believe that there's any virtue in returning to the former. Yeah, man. Yeah, no, not the Julian. Because remember, hold on. You remember the man wrote him and said, yes, he was. He said, there are those who think it is their duty to discard the names of the months as they stand at present in the calendar and return to the Bible method of reckoning. Right. So he's saying here, yeah. Right. So he goes further now.
So it's a comparative statement. So the point I was making is that it's a comparative statement. If we take the full thing, he was not saying that absolutely the Gregorian is better, but how they deal with the Gregorian calendar in saying the third month, which is March, they call March the third month instead of saying when God starts his year. And he's saying that because they don't know how to do it, just stick with this one because this is easier to deal with.
That's disingenuous to say that they don't know how to do it because these guys,
but that's what
the pioneers did it.
But that's what
So
he's saying.
he's saying we're not going back there.
It just don't make no sense because the average person just not understanding how
Well,
to
God's
do
people
it.
are average people. That's what they use.
But I know.
Right.
I
So,
know.
but I'm just saying to you, it is clear to me that they took a position.
Right.
And they
Right.
said, listen, the Roman year, that we are working.
Which is fine. Because we can work like how we worked out a while ago.
So the reason why all of this has been raised is that when it is, I wouldn't even say when it is convenient, because the truth of the matter is this is not something we bring up none at all,
Yeah.
right? And that's why I said
This
to
is
you
the
guys,
first time
so I'm saying to you
since I
now,
studied it.
is
I've seen
this an aspect that should be brought in when we present this? Because remember this, the folks outside of Adventism, they know more of this than we do. They absolutely know it. You should read their commentaries. When you read the stuff they comment on,
You know that
they know more than we do. So my argument is, at least do this.
definitely.
All right? All right, yes, one.
Yes, the present or Gregorian calendar is far more accurate and convenient. We do not believe there is any virtue in returning to the former. What is the former there? All right, so Mr. Smith. All right, let me continue. So based on, I soon got to the understatement. So based on that second sentence in that paragraph, he is telling me that he will not return to the biblical calendar. Okay, so him state that, him state in position. Now I'm going to justify his position that him take with the third sentence. But if we are to return to it, which is the biblical calendar, Jesus calendar, Bible calendar, let us be consistent and take it in all its particular, which I agree with him. If you're going to go by that, go 100%. That's what I'm getting. And not imagine that we are going according to the Bible reckoning by simply using scripture language to designate the month of the Roman years. Now, my understanding is, as the presenter says, Mr. Smith, Brother Smith, Elder Smith, has taken his position that him not going by no Bible calendar. Him is going by the first statement, which is his thesis statement. The present or Gregorian calendar is far more accurate, and him go off it because of convenience. Not because Jesus say you must go by my Bible, or God Bible say go by Bible, but it because it's convenient. Now, once you talk like that, I may have to throw you out. Once you talk like that and not say, thus say Bible, then the arguments where you present is irrelevant to me, because of the Bible does say the Bible when we have to go by.
So all right. So let me just say this in closing. The one thing you have to give credit to the rabbins, they might be starting the year wrong, but they have their calendar. That's what they use. And not only that, their dates, they don't use the 2023 days. They have, I don't know fully how to call it, but I think their date is 5,000 or something. No. So at least give them credit. Give the Jews credit. Please.
They have aspects that their work that they're true to.
All right. All right. So I'm
Yes.
going to end it here, but I hope that you folks recognize that if you deny this, your doctrine is false. Like, no.
Agreed.
But
Agreed.
I'm not into denying this. The Millerites used it. And I'm here to announce to you that you go and use it if you go heaven. If you come back to your word, you go and use it. I'm finished.
And I'll say this, that when you start being challenged on the 2300 days, you're going to need to use it.
Praise the Lord.
I
I hope we made sense. Peter?
What I'm saying is that if when we get challenged on the 2300 days, we're going to need to use it. No, this what we just went through, the reckoning and the validation.
Peter, I hope you are going to do something about this. And that by the time I get back here again, you will be very clear. What is this, sir? Okay, no problem. No problem. And you'll get the notes. All right. All right. All right. All right. I know I didn't because I shortened up the presentation compared to last time because I was only supposed to help out, right? Make things a little clearer, Angie. Tanisha. All right, so let me ask now. No. Sister Lee, you were saying? No, I just want to know if we did a better job this time than last time. Amen. Praise the Lord. All right. All right. So you're gonna get all these notes. Yes, brother Roper.
I'm gonna be on.
Yeah.
The presentation started, I was wondering why this is important. Because I'm saying that if I'm Adventist and I believe in 1844, 1 month is neither here nor there, or 2 months is neither here nor there, is it here? And it not really going to prevent me from going if I have the faith and I keep the commandment. But when you talk about it, for me, the point is when somebody who is not Adventist question you and you can't defend it. Everything else you say no make no sense to them. They don't want to hear nothing because them prove you say one point in your doctrine and it no make no sense. Right. So when you come from that angle now, me understand fully. So in other words, you must know what we believe. So if you know what we believe, we can defend it. And if you can't defend one thing, it's easy for you to defend everything. If you can't defend one thing, person say, you're wrong on that. Nobody can tell me nothing. Me no want to hear nothing else about Sabbath because it's not even what your main doctrine, you're not you have it right. So nothing else no make no sense to me. So from that angle, right. So from that angle, no, me understand it. But if me I just look upon and say, what is the difference what 1 month or 2 months? It don't make no sense. But if you look upon and say, you must know what you believe, that you can't defend it, then it makes sense.
If in 1938, when that committee met, they could not have validated that. What do you think would have happened to the Seventh-day Adventist Church? So, as I said, it's just in the past couple of months that I have come to understand it. The information is there all along, you know. But I'm just saying, I hope that going forward, we as a people gathered in this room, when you present this, that you make sure you present this so that it can stand up. Because our detractors, as Pastor Wright said, he said, look, we better validate this or else our enemies are going to come after us. And they are not going to be merciful. Amen? Yes, sister.
Having done the 2300-day study already, what I realized is that we need to go more granular. So it's not just to prove from the beginning to the end that it's 2300 days. We really have to go more granular into this aspect of it. Because if they're saying, all right, so if we're starting from here and we're in here, the new moon start from here to there, then these are the dates, how you reach October 22. So we have to go more granular, which is what you just proven to us, that it's not just the math that we need to know.
Did you notice that we arrived at So on the Gregorian calendar, the date of Christ, so 1844 was the 2nd of May.
Yeah.
On the Julian calendar, it was the what 29th? No, the day
Tuesday. No,
it was a
the
Friday?
second was
No.
Friday. No, Tuesday.
it wasn't a Friday.
That's Tuesday.
Hold on there. No, yeah, we are talking about 1844. Me agree. Hold on. Hold on. Yes, man, crucifixion date. Well, if you want to go today, you can do that too. Let's see if we have it here. Remember when we had work this one, we came to the 2nd of May
Like Thursday.
as New Moon Day, which was a Tuesday, and a Thursday, and there was another one where, yeah, crucifixion day. 2nd of May. Yeah.
Mm.
April 19. April
Nine.
19. Mhm. No, there's something else huh? What calendar? What you talking about? What you talking about, Peter? What you want? Tell me what you want.
No, as in you said we came up with 2 dates, right?
Yeah, this was a Julian calendar. This was a Julian calendar, which has the full moon as the 25th of April, which was a Wednesday. Julian calendar. All right. AD 31. Yeah, on the Julian calendar. All right. All right, folks. Thank you so much. Thank you for your patience. Julian calendar. Yes. All right. Thank you so much. Can we close out in prayer? Are you going to be doing something? All right. Let's close out in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the time we have spent. We thank you for leading us and teaching us and share that information and the new people. We stand by this foundation until our work. In Jesus' name. Yeah, sure. Why? No, I'm just taking out the thumb drive.
Excuse me, excuse. Excuse me, no, I'm making an announcement. I'm making my announcement. No, I said I was gonna make that one before you guys leave. Mhm. All right, those on Zoom, I have an announcement to make. Is everybody here? Oh, the genus is left. Okay. All right. So in light of this, so in light of the presentation that was just presented by Elder Sylvester, we all right, so we have come to an agreement for the new baptized members. It was what has been Mhm.
Please continue.
Okay, so we know Bible class starts at 3 and sometimes sunsets like 6:40 something thereabouts. And we are proposing that there will be 2 Bible study sessions. All right. The first half, about 1.5 hour, depends on the time sunsets, or 1 hour to 1.5 hour. And then we have the next segment of Bible class, which would be the remaining time. For the 2300-day prophecy, the new persons will be presenting that. And starting next week, Brother Peter will be first to present. 2 weeks? Okay, in 2 weeks' time, Brother Peter will start off with his study, right? And that would be for 1.5 hour maximum. So a roster will be sent out before the day ends. I mean,
Could you
before,
tell us the list of the people who would be on this roster?
right?
Not the order, because we haven't put the order
There's
together, but
no
at least the
specific
list.
order, but we have the Allens. Yes,
Yeah.
I said Allens. The Bows. We have Roxanne Genus, Brother Ling. We have Sister Lowe, Brother Elaine, the Morrises, Sister Brown, Marcia Brown, yes, Nadine Chambers, and we have Tamara Wallace. Wallace and Wesker, yes.
And Angie and Susan.
Oh, I don't remember about
Yes. Angie Moraine and Susan
Okay.
Ruffin from Grenada.
Let me
2
have
people
them.
from Grenada,
Susan
yes.
Ruffin.
They're not at this time. At this time. So they're on a Friday evening.
All right, so a roster will be sent out in short order, so you guys can prepare yourselves. Any questions or comments? And we have the elders and so forth and other persons who you can ask for assistance. Give her the mic.
I have a question. I didn't hear one name. Person to my right. Whitney Gordon.
I asked because I had her on the list.
I didn't hear Sister Lou's name neither.
Sister Law name was called. I can't do it without Sister Law.
So she has agreed to be put on the list. So Whitney Gordon.
She has agreed to go on the list.
It's not do it. So
What is the issue? Okay, lovely. So Sister Gordon will be going on the list as well. So you can take however long you want. You can get 2 weeks or 3 weeks. If it
Question
is
being asked,
Mhm.
what about Sister Lee? Sister Sylvester is asking, why not Sister Lee? Like, I'm taking myself out of it.
Sister Lee? That's not correct, Sister Lee.
Can go last.
Okay, Sister Lee. Yes, and you can stay or go for however long you want, 2 weeks, 3, maximum 3 weeks. Yes, so we'll go back to short days. Because remember, it's just 1.5 hour for a Sabbath. So if you're not finished, say you start this week and you get a 1 hour, you're not finished, you can go next week and the other week. No, it's the same topic. Everybody's gonna be presenting on the 2300-day prophecy.
Why? Why will everyone be doing 2300?
Why?
Yes.
Right. So just to walk you through, because we have done this before. This is not new. How many of you remember when we did this the first time? Yeah. No, it wasn't.
No,
it was the
the
23 days actually.
2300 days.
It was the same topic with the people that were here before. And that's why Sasha mentioned Omar. I said, no, Omar did this in the first batch. So he was in the first batch before. You remember? Yeah. So Omar was in the first batch from 2020, I think. We just haven't done this again since then. I don't know what happened. I can't give you an explanation. Right. So right. Yes. Elder, the ladies are get excited, say young men, them are do it to please include them. Because they think that's a way out for them. Their men say, young men are looking at their husbands.
No, I'm not trying to make a way out. I'm just simply saying, when I look around the room compared to 2020, there are much more young men here. And I am in a position to call them young men. They're actually my sons. And I'm saying I want to see them stepping forward. And when they're stepping forward, if they want to carry the women with them, no challenge for me.
So what we're gonna do in 2 weeks, Brother Leng is gonna start off. And I chose Brother Leng because he's a born and bred Seventh-day Adventist. Most of us came in, so it's fitting that he started. If him can't figure it out, then we're in trouble. Right? Then we're in trouble because him grew up in this thing, right? Anyhow, so what we're gonna do 2 weeks time, we're gonna start at 3, and he's gonna go from 3 to about 4:30 the latest, and then we break. If he wants to continue the following week, but after that we have our regular Bible program with whomever is scheduled is on the roster for that particular point in time. But the first hour to hour and a half is for this, and we're gonna look at and present the 2300 days, and eventually we look at the other foundations as well, the other aspects of the foundation. But if we say we're Seventh-day Adventists, then at least we need to figure out the central pillar and foundation, which is this one, and be able to give a presentation on it. So we should all be excited that we're getting a chance, because most people shy away and hide in the background, hide behind everybody else. And so everybody gets a chance to come to the front now. You should be here. Nicole, you ready? Carry on, George. I think George ready for go over here now.
Okay, so
Alright.
I guess that would conclude the announcements. And if there's no other questions or comments with leaving, please go. All right, so we're gonna break for 5 minutes to allow persons to leave. So we can continue the program.